Okay, so around this time last week, I got to watch Superman, which I will be referring to throughout the rest of the video as Superman 25 or Superman 2025, just to avoid confusion with other Superman films and just with the character in general. What I will go ahead and say at the top of this is full spoilers for the film. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers are now live. And before I get into my feelings on this movie, I think it's important that I talk about Man of Steel and why I really didn't enjoy Man of Steel. For me, to put it as simply as possible, it feels like a movie that turned Clark Kent into Shiro Emiya. And I say that as someone who absolutely adores Shiro Emiya. But Shiro's heroism and his ideas, while based on a genuine desire to help people, are also deeply rooted in his survivor's guilt and a desire to carry on his father's legacy, which is, ironically, a legacy his father never wanted him to inherit. Similarly, Man of Steel's Clark Kent was raised by a father who pressured him into greatness and dissuaded him from saving the lives of others at a risk of revealing himself too early. You know, the scene that everyone remembers is just the, no, don't save me, son, it's okay, which, how much guilt did that put on the son who could have done something about it? Compare it to, I don't remember if it was Reeves or Donner's Superman who has that moment where it's like, all these powers, and I couldn't save him. And so, no, you could have, it's just he didn't want you to. Anyways. But the other scene, the one that really bothered me, is Clark saves those kids. I believe it was a bus of kids was in the water. He saved them from drowning. And Pa Kent's like, why? Why would you do something like that? You're not supposed to. Should I save them from drowning? Maybe. And to me, it always felt like less of a, I'm saying maybe because I don't know the answer, son, and felt like more of a, he knows the answer he wants to give, but realizes how callous it is and how insane this is, and can't commit to it, and it, for me, just didn't work. It created this very brooding atmosphere, and a Clark Kent and a Superman who feels like they do things more out of obligation than genuine altruism, which also leads him to being focused on the bigger picture, which in that film is stopping Zod, rather than making sure that I don't hurt civilians in the process. Contrasting this with Superman 25, where the scene that I feel like I keep seeing comments of or people referencing, what really stands out, is the scene of Clark and Pa Kent, and them sitting on a bench and talking, and Pa Kent saying to him, my job as your father is not to tell you what you need to do with your life. It's not to put all this pressure on you. It's to give you the tools to make your own decisions so that you can be who you choose to be. And while his Kryptonian parents wanted him to come to Earth as a conqueror and to repopulate the species, his Smallville parents only want him to be him, whoever he chooses to be, and he chooses to be good. Clark has his bad days, he has his doubts, and sometimes he needs to just sit one out and let the Justice Gang fight this, what did he call it? It was an underworld imp, this big 02 looking googly moogly eye monster, so he can just talk to Lois and figure out his feelings and where he's at in his life. But his raison d'etre, I probably am not pronouncing that right. It looks a lot better on script than coming out of my mouth. But his reason for existing is to make other people's lives easier through his kindness and compassion. He doesn't need someone to tell him about his great responsibility or constantly instill in him that's yeah, you're going to be great, you're going to be great. He just does it because it's what feels right to him. That is what makes him super, and that is why I love the character of Clark Kent. It's also why, to me, Lex Luthor is a perfect antagonist for him. Lex fancies himself as a Superman, and why shouldn't he? He's wealthy, intelligent, powerful. He is or has everything that the average person wants. He is someone who has mastered his life on Earth. He is someone who is trying to usher in the next, evolution of humanity, or of mankind's potential. My understanding of Nietzsche and his philosophy is pretty limited, but from my basic understanding, Lex is basically the Nietzsche Übermensch. And yet, this thing from the stars has the gall to call itself a Superman when it is anything but human. It has the gall to take the spotlight away from Lex and all of his accomplishments and all of his deeds, good, bad, in between, but all of the greatness that he is. But worst of all, that thing has the gall to show Lex what he can never be. How insignificant he is, despite his wealth, his intelligence, his power. They all mean nothing in the face of Superman. In a world where Superman exists, what is Lex Luthor? And he will do everything in his power to prove that humanity can triumph over God. But it's through that willingness to do everything, to do anything, where Lex shows how inhuman he really is when compared to Clark. Again, one of the scenes that really sticks out to me about that is, I can't remember the man's name, but when he just has that civilian with a gun pointed at his head, he's like, all right, I'm going to start asking you questions, and every time I don't hear what I want, I'm going to pull the trigger. Oh, look, the guy's dead. All right, time to go to the next one. One of the only times that we actually see Lex, though, showing human emotion is when he's at the cusp of his victory, where he's piloting the Ultraman Bizarro hybrid like a fighting game character, which I love that, by the way, let me just say. Anytime he's like, all right, you, this command, and then at the very end where he's talking to Clark and he's, giving his speech and, blah, 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 1A, he's just getting into it, and that he just gets to be human. But another one, which is arguably my favorite part of the movie, is when his machinations are all unraveled and the world gets to see Lex Luthor for the monster he really is. And when everyone turns on him, Lex has no words, he has no act of violence, he just cries. And it is these tears of anger and frustration. And it's so cathartic. On the one hand, it's cathartic to see this horrible piece of shit cry. Like, I can't lie. I had genuine joy seeing Lex Luthor cry. But it's also that it's cathartic to see a real person in there. And that, there's a little bit ago, he's showing some humanity. But here, he's able to show humanity in a sense of, he's showing his own weakness. It kind of reminds me of that bit from Iron Man where Pepper is proof that Tony Stark has a heart. It's kind of the same thing here. It's there's a real person in here that he tries to never let come out. And it's a moment where you get to see it. And I really enjoyed that. And to me, Lois Lane is someone who's in the middle of Clark and Lex. She shares Lex's cynicism, but never his cruelty. Meanwhile, she can appreciate Clark's kindness, but is wary of ulterior motives. To her, nothing is more important than the truth, not even her friendship or romance with Superman. She will press him on any issue and won't be satisfied with half-baked plans or platitudes, but she won't give up on him either unless there is undeniable proof of ill intent. And she will do what she can to save the world through the means that are available to her. And for me, Superman 25 nailed Clark, Lex, and Lois. And the way they're written and their portrayals. And it gave the film both a strong emotional core and a strong thematic core as well. It's so easy for people to turn on you. It's so easy for intentions, both good, what you see with Clark, and bad with Lex, but it's so easy for intentions to be misrepresented and for people to judge you by what they see, not who you really are. But that's no excuse to stop trying to be good. It's no excuse to stop trying to be kind. Even when Superman's allies and the Justice Gang are like, really? You want to save this monster? Like, you're kind of really going out of your way to save people when you don't. You should, but you're going a little too far. Like, it's just how I am. It's just what I want to do. I enjoyed the other characters in the movie as well. Like, the Daily Planet staff, I think, are a lot of fun. As someone who doesn't have a lot of, like, strong familiarity with Superman mythos or, like, even the Daily Planet staff, I didn't know that Steve was an actual character. I only know him from the research to the My Adventures with Superman show. I was like, Steve! I was really happy to see him. I'm always happy to see, like, I don't know much about Guy Gardner, but I'm always happy to see Nathan Fillion, and he was just a ton of fun. Mr. Terrific steals every scene that he's in, and the hot girl Skydrop immediately cutting to, like, the egg cracking and dissolving was such a good moment. It's absolutely, I feel like I've said it a few times, like, this is one of my favorite scenes in the movie. That's definitely one of my favorite scenes in the movie. I didn't love Krypto. Part of it was, like, the CG looked ever so wonky to me in a way that Rocket kind of never did. Where anytime I'm looking at the dog, I'm like, I know the dog isn't there. And, like, I feel bad because I normally don't think that, but it was just slightly off. And I'll be honest, personally, I'm more of a cat person than a dog person. So Krypto's personality just being dog to the max, it's cute, but for me, it's not super endearing. But during that scene where, like, Lex is talking to Soups, and he's like, you know, like, I can still do whatever I want to you because you're a threat. And then Krypto just grabs him and just starts manhandling Rex like a rag doll. As that scene was happening, I was like, okay, Krypto, you're a good boy. Like, I can't lie. Like, that's the part that really endeared me to Krypto. I think the fight cinematography throughout the movie is really fun. It reminded me a lot of the No Sleep Till Brooklyn scene from Guardians 3, particularly the Mr. Terrific fight and just kind of like how they're shot. A few specific, again, in addition to like the entirety of the Mr. Terrific fight, I thought it was really cool. But a few other highlights are when Ultraman and the Engineer, particularly the Engineer, are like destroying the Fortress of Solitude, and Lex is just nonchalantly walking by. It's like her blades are going and he's not even trying to dodge anything. I thought that was really neat. There's a scene where Superman's just like using the Engineer like a ragdoll, and I think he does the same thing during his fight with Ultraman. I thought that was really fun. I did mention the like 1A part. I loved that. There's this scene where it's near the end when Soups like starts spinning and just shooting lasers around, and I thought to myself, like, straight up, I was like, this is his level 1 super in the fighting game. Like, it just felt like a fighting game super. It was really fun. And just a couple other really quick things I want to note and shout out. Number 1, the opening text crawl was really fun. I loved it, like 3 centuries, 3 decades, like et cetera, counting down. I think the last one was like 3 hours ago or 3 minutes ago. I really love this rendition of Superman's theme. It's an iconic theme. It's a beautiful theme. It's one that to me just exudes, like, it exudes heroism, but it also just exudes hope. Like, there's something about it that just kind of lifts you up and lifts your spirits. And there's a Grant Morrison quote just about Superman that I think fits the theme, like the theme really exemplifies, which is, somewhere in our darkest night, we made up the story of a man who will never let us down. And I absolutely love that. And the other thing I have to note is the Peacemaker cameo. Because like there were bits throughout the movie where like because like it was a packed house when I went to go see it. And like there were definitely points throughout the movie where like people would laugh or like people would like kind of cheer a little bit. But like when John Cena showed up in that goofy helmet, the entire theater started laughing. And I self included, it was just a really good time. But overall, I loved this movie. I know I've said a few times, like, this is one of my favorite bits. This is one of my favorite bits. This is what my actual favorite scene in the movie is. It is after Superman. I think it's after Superman gets taken from the pocket dimension. And, yeah, because they're in the terrific ship. And then Lois brings him to the farm. And she brings him to Ma and Pa Kent, who are just there to, like, be with their son. And they, like, cradle him. They're like, is our boy okay? And I love it. Because it's a moment where even though he's in the full fit, no one in that room sees Superman. All of them see Clark. And seeing someone who is so concerned about other people and seeing that get paid back by the people he loves, I think is beautiful. I loved this movie. I highly recommend it. I'm looking forward to seeing more of this DC universe. The fact that one of the first movies they're going to do is a Clayface movie really excites me because I really like Clayface. But I'm very excited to see more of this Superman. If you watched it, I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't seen it yet, I hope you go watch it, and I hope you have a great time.